And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. How is it going? Can everyone see me and can everybody hear me? How is it going? All right. So, we have a stream because we've done some things and we need to go ahead and talk about it because right now this is about all you can do. You can't re-sign players, you certainly can't sign other teams' players, you can't draft yet. This is about all you can do. So honestly, as of right now, this Seahawks team is doing about as much as they can without moving on from Carroll or Schneider or it's not like Jody Allen can sell anyway. That's something me and Hawksnest talked about yesterday. All right. So we've had some moves in the last 24 hours. We've also had some moves over the last few days, but the main focus of this stream is going to be talking about the hiring, the firing, and the promoting of this morning. So Sean Desai is hired as associate head coach. And I want to say this. You guys know I kill Carroll all the time, but it seems like we decided to go above and beyond to get Desai in. We went to Desai and we said, okay, we'll make you associate head coach instead of just being on the staff as like a DB coach. And I think that probably pushed him over the edge to choose us over Minnesota. So Sean Desai is in, and he's going to be our associate head coach with a lean towards the defense. So, as near as I can tell, the associate head coach has more power than anybody on the staff except for the head coach. So, you may see, and we'll need some time to figure this stuff out. You might see something where Sean Desai has a big impact in the midweek management of the team, the game plan, putting together the general structure of how these games go. And then Clint Hurt takes care of the play calling because Clint Hurt is still our defensive coordinator, so he's probably still going to be calling the plays. So I think what you are looking at here is something where Desai takes. Ooh, Go Hawks 22. Welcome to the membership club. Hold on, let me fix the audio, guys. I'm sorry about that. Okay, there we go. Go Hawks 22, thank you for the member message. Yes, of one is complete, no dollar store free agents. Yeah, that's obviously a big part of the puzzle here. But anyway, so it seems to me that what's going to happen here is that Desai is going to be putting together the game plan and handle a lot of the stuff during the week, and then Clint Hurt will do play calling during the games. And if Clint Hurt maybe doesn't do well in that role, maybe you will see Desai take that over. But it kind of feels like to me that Pete wants to take a little bit of a step back and maybe not be so overbearing over this defense. And time will tell. But I don't think you bring in Desai just to stand there and hold a clipboard and do nothing. And honestly, there are some people who think that Clint Hurt might also be above that. That Clint Hurt might not be some dude that you just bring in to hold the clipboard and do whatever Pete tells him to do. Some people think that Clint Hurt is better than that. So that's the first thing, and I gotta say, there's a lot about this hire that I like, and I like about what it implies about what Carroll is thinking here. I like the fact that Desai has been a safety coach. That means good things for Jamal. I like the fact that he was part of Robert Quinn's career resurgence last year. That means good things for Dunlap and Taylor. I like the fact that he has head coaching potential in this league. That means that maybe on some level Carroll is thinking about being less hands-on. Now, there were two other moves made this morning. The first was that Mike Solari got fired and Andy Dickerson got promoted to his former position of offensive line coach. So the way I see it is this. Solari was good. I think that the people who are trying to evaluate how good Solari did here need to realize that Wilson makes his offensive lines look worse. He always has, he always will. Sorry, that's just a fact. Especially when you're averaging nearly 10 air yards per pass attempt, you're making life hard for your offensive line because he doesn't have the escapability that he used to have, or at least he doesn't use it. So, I think Solari is good, but I think what happened here is that you had an offensive line coach who wanted to get road graders, who wanted to run the ball, power O, and then I think you had Andy Dickerson, who you brought in last year, who wanted to do things the Shane Waldron way, the Rams way, where you have a lot of pulling guards, where you have a lot of movement and agility and second-level blocks from that offensive line. So I think that this move is designed to marry yourself for this year to the Shane Waldron way of doing things, where you're not going to try to make things mesh awkwardly anymore. You're going to give Waldron an offensive line, because this also means you need to turn the page on some of these offensive linemen, like Dwayne Brown, too slow. Brandon Shell, too slow. Gabe Jackson may be too slow as well. Maybe Ethan Posick can't move the way we need offensive linemen to move either. You really might be looking at a situation where you need to refresh the whole offensive line to get guys in that can work better with the Shane Waldron, Andy Dickerson scheme. So that's what I'd take away from this. And one thing about these moves that I like, and I'm going to kind of go into my more overall theory here, is that it seems like there is actually a plan here. And I'm going to make a video about this in a few days. But looking back on it and knowing what we know now, it does kind of seem like the Seahawks treated 2021 as a whatever year, where we'll try to make the playoffs and that's about it. Now, they probably would have made the playoffs if Wilson didn't get hurt. That's fair to say. But I don't think we were really all in last year like some of us thought we should have been. And I don't know if that was a good idea or not. But it seems to me that on some level we were using last year as sort of a whatever year, where, hey, hopefully we get hot at the end, but more than likely we're just going to be okay. The division's going to be a bear. So they bring in Shane Waldron, a guy who had never called plays before, knowing he's going to take his lumps, and he did. He had some bad games, but by the end of the season, things were starting to come together a little better. So now that he's had a chance to get his feet wet, and you brought in Dickerson last year to be the running game coordinator, now you're boosting Dickerson up to the full offensive line coach. So now you're going to start to bring in the guys who can really do what Waldron wants them to do. So it does seem like there was a plan here to kind of take it easy in 2021, and then in 2022, once you had a feeling that this could potentially work, then maybe then after you get that proof of concept, if you feel like you get it, you then use this year to be the year where you really take the plunge. And you're also kind of seeing that on the defense, because last year was kind of a transition to the Vic Fangio style of defense. Matty F. Brown has spent a ton of tweets recently talking about how this Seahawks defense was basically transforming into the Fangio defense throughout the season last year. Now you're bringing in Sean Desai, and you're promoting Clint Hurt, both Fangio guys, although much more so Desai, and you're hoping that they can take it home. So whether or not it works, we'll have to see. But I'm starting to see a coherent plan here. Now, why did we use void years last year? I don't know. That doesn't really fit into this narrative, admittedly. But it seems to me that you can at least make an argument that there's a plan in place, and that plan apparently included not really going for it in 2021, just trying to put together a good team that could maybe get like the wild card 7 seed, 6 seed. And it didn't happen. Some things got in the way. Okay. But they're sticking to the plan if that was indeed the plan. They're going all in on the Shane Waldron offense. They're going all in on the Vic Fangio defense. And we'll know more in a few months. How we attack free agency is going to tell us a lot here. But that's kind of the bigger point I want to make here, and this is what I'm going to make a video on soon. I think the team might actually have a plan, and I've criticized them in the past for not having a plan. And I still say doing void years last year is questionable given the fact that you weren't going all in. I think that not trading Quandre Diggs when you could have was questionable when you weren't going all in. I think that having a transition year when you're working with a franchise quarterback at the tail end of his prime is questionable. But it seems like that was the plan. So, with all that being said, I'm going to start looking at some of these comments, answering as many as I can. So, the rules are I'm going to stream for about an hour here. I'm going to stream until about 8. I'm going to answer as many questions and comments as I can, but no guarantee I'll be able to get to all of them, because there's going to be a lot of them in all likelihood. If you send in your question or comment as a super chat, then I am guaranteed to see it, read it, and respond to it. If you are a channel member, it is more likely that I will see your comment and reply to it. And also, just real quick here, we've got 92 people in the chat right now, it looks like, so thank you everybody for showing up. Please like the stream if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new and you want daily Seahawks content. We're pumping out at least one video a day. Become a channel member for $2 or $5 a month. We are trying to get 4 more before the end of February. And we're also 19 subscribers short of the subscriber goal, so we're close. And any super chats you send in will show up in the tip jar to my left. All right. So let's see. Brendan, now that we have Desai, what are you hoping for from free agency? Akeem Hicks makes a lot of sense now, right? Because they were together in Chicago. But my free agency desires have not changed that much. Armstead, Kelsey, Clowney, trade for Davenport or Garrett or Grady Jarrett. It's the same basic roundup of guys. I don't think that's changed. I don't know. Solari wasn't the assistant head coach. That was Clint Hurtt. Will we re-sign Everett? I think we will, but it's not a big deal if we don't. If we attack free agency very aggressively and draft smart, do you think we'd be Super Bowl favorites? Probably not favorites, but we could be in the conversation. Oh, welcome, Megan. Good to see you. I think we had to fire Mike Solari to bring in Desai. Yeah, I don't think Solari was the assistant head coach. That was Clint Hurtt. How would you sum up our chance of actually landing Armstead? That's really hard for me to know. That's really hard for me to know. Yeah, Mike Gesicki's actually on the list if we lose Everett, because that guy's fun. But Miami's probably going to keep him. You think Pete retires when his current contract is up? Yeah, you would hope so. At that point, he's what, 75? Is Desai at a higher position than DC? I think so. Associate head coach is supposed to be above everyone except the head coach. What do you think of Clint Hurtt and his scheme, and do you think he will fit well with our defense and our team as a whole? Apparently the players like him, so that's good. I'm relieved that he has somebody with a little more gravitas backing him up in Desai. I'll say that. Would you trade a first and a third for Garrett? Are you talking about Myles Garrett? Well, then yeah, because Myles Garrett is one of the best defensive players in the league, but you think Desai will be working on Jamal? That's probably the idea. That's got to be the idea. Do you think the front office feels any pressure to actually deliver this offseason? I mean, they should. Did you see the fans at the end of the season last year barely showing up to the games, booing the team? Keep seeing bunch of trade Lockett for draft capital. You can't trade Lockett. That contract is too big. Trading Lockett gives you like, what, $30 million cap hit? Can't do it. Does Pete's contract end concurrently when Jody is able to sell the team? I think so. I wonder how much of using Lewis at LG and Gabe at RG was due to Solari. Maybe Dickerson agrees, but I hope he doesn't. Yeah, that's a good point, David. I could definitely see that. Neither guy is really a great fit for what Waldron will want to do, but you can live with one or two of those guys. What do you think about Hurt calling the plays? I mean, he's never done it before, so we'll know when we see, but I guess. Carl Smith was also an associate head coach. Okay, I didn't know that. Let's see. Frank Darcy, thank you for the $20. Appreciate it, my man. Thank you for putting these videos out. Always good information, and I enjoy them. Yeah, I try. Sometimes it's really hard to stay on top of stuff. Yeah, Daniel. The people who say things like that, they don't do their research, man. Sometimes I miss on my research too, but if you're actually one of those people who think, the solution is to trade Lockett here, you don't do your research. It's not possible. It's like the same people who think that Wilson doesn't want to restructure because he's selfish and wants more money. Like, do your research. Oh my God. Hey, Ethan. Hey guys, I'm not excited about Desai. I'm optimistic about where this can go, because our defense was already morphing significantly by the end of the season last year. Now we're bringing in a guy who's got a lot of experience with that kind of defense. Why even trade Lockett? Well, he's getting older, but he's still good, so it doesn't matter. You're stuck with him for at least 2 more years. The players do really like Clint. Yeah, I've heard that as well. What was your stance on Pete getting fired or not? I thought it behooved the team to move on from him, but that's not what we're doing. So, diversity hires to other teams, but I see the incentivize his teams putting marginalized groups in position to reach head coach one day. It's so patronizing, though. It's so patronizing, the way they do it. I don't know what the right way to do it is. Any call-in shows soon? Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, David, exactly. However this ends up working out, I do appreciate the effort. If the Seahawks, if Desai is so great, why wasn't he up for any other big jobs? Also, if he's so great, why wouldn't we bring him in as the DC? Well, it seems to me that this team has a massive, massive crush on Clint Hurt and wasn't willing to lose him, and the only way to keep him was to give him the promotion. So that's my interpretation of that. As for why he's not up for any other big jobs, he kind of got let go after a lot of the positions got filled, and some of the places that were open didn't have the right personnel to run what Desai does. So there's a lot going into that. I'm not too worried about that, personally. Does Desai help get rid of Bobby? I don't know. Would any update on the Trey Brown injury dramatically change the offseason plan? It would change it a little bit. I don't think dramatically. No hot tub tonight. Yeah, it would have been really embarrassing because, by the way, Vic Fangio is apparently thinking about jumping on with Frisco. So if they got Fangio and we couldn't even keep Donatel, that's really emasculating. So who's the boss of the defense? My best guess is that Desai is going to have a lot of input in the game plan during the week, and then Clint Hurt's going to call the plays. That's what I'm guessing. It seems to me like Pete's trying to take a little bit of a step back here because we're adapting so much of the Fangio defense. We are starting to move away from that Pete Carroll straight-up defense. Question, do we get compensatory picks for minority hires? I don't think so. I don't want an elite cornerback, Kyler. I don't want to spend money on cornerbacks. If we want to do that, just bring back DJ. Yeah, that's true. Fangio hasn't gotten a position yet, which is kind of surprising to me. Can you see Desai being the head coach after Pete? Yes. Pretentious Cameron, no. Yeah, the cover 3, right. There's a rumor that Fangio might go to the 49ers. Megan, it would take a long time for me to explain the Fangio defense, but the Fangio defense some of the things that are different than the Carroll defense is it's more cover two, but it does disguise what safeties do more than the cover three does. And one other thing about it that's kind of interesting is that the defensive ends play inside a little bit more on rundowns, which is kind of interesting. But if you go to Matty F. Brown's Twitter, he breaks it down in a lot more detail than that. But one of the bases of the Fangio defense is called a quarter, quarter, half, I think. And that's something we ran a lot at the end of the season last year. So it seemed to me that Pete was trying to use last year as sort of an experiment to see, can we do this? And now he feels like, okay, let's bring in the right guys to do it. How much do you think it would take to get Jensen? I would look at what did Lindsley get last year and something like that. Does it inspire you some big time spending in linemen? Well, we need to get different kinds of linemen now because we need more mobility down there. So, yeah, we need to get guys who can play in space. And right now, we don't have linemen who can play in space at all. Curhan is okay at it. Posick is okay at it, but he's a free agent anyway. I don't know if Forsyth can do it. I don't think so. So there's a lot of work to do there. Period. Yeah, if we're not spending big in free agency. Yeah. Yeah, Michael. I mean, we'll see. There have been a couple people who have already pointed out the fact that having a lot of cooks in the kitchen could be a problem. But we'll see how it comes together. That's really the best I can say for it. I like this better than just having Clint hurt. Do you think the team will hit FA and draft mainly for defense? I don't. Well, maybe for the defensive line specifically, but there's a lot more about this team. Oh, D-Lou can't play in space at all. He's way too fat. He's way too big to play in space. Like, he's one of the guys that you have to put out there kind of accepting that he's not going to be able to do some of the stuff that you want him to do, but you need to make up for it by having the other guys be good enough. Damien Lewis is kind of a pure road grader. He's just a big dude. He can't really play in space, so... Yeah, exactly, sports fan. That's a great canary in the coal mine. If we keep Wagner on 20 million, then that's a problem. So yeah, you can live with one or two guys who don't play in space, like Delu, but we need to find a left tackle who can play in space. We need to find a center who can play in space, and then we hope that Curhan can do it, and then we live with having relatively immobile guards. Yeah, Phil Haynes could be the starting left guard. That's on the table. Yeah, and again, Michael, that's just my guess. I would assume that Desai has more power than Hurt, and Hurt's a play caller. It's going to be, maybe it'll be kind of like the way it was before, where Pete and Norton have been replaced by Desai and Hurt, and then Carroll gets to just be the head coach. Yeah, Daniel, there were problems, but Jake Curhan's tape was atrocious, is the thing. We didn't know he was any good until he actually started playing in the games. I can't get that mad about that because it's not like Brandon Shell was a big problem. Yeah, Gabe Jackson at this point in his career is not that mobile. I don't think the Fangio defense is a 3-4. Isn't it hybrid? It's pretty hybridy. Zadarius Smith's definitely on the table, Barbod. No, I don't want any elite cornerbacks. I want bargain bin basement cornerbacks. Bargain bin basement mofos. Do you think Desai's signing will have any impact on our drafting? It should. It definitely should. You should draft for the schemes and play calls that you're planning on using when the season starts. Go Hawks 2022. Thank you for the $5. Thanks for doing these shows. I do some homework, but you do a lot more and share it. So as I said, thanks. Yeah, I mean, I don't do as honestly, I don't do as much homework as the Hawks Nest. The Hawks Nest definitely does more than I do, but I do what I can. Yeah, Fangio defense is more so a 4-3, at least this past year with Khalil Mack injured. Yeah, I don't think the Fangio defense is that much of a 3-4. Or at least it doesn't need to be. Maybe if Carroll just focuses on being a head coach, especially during the game, maybe he can be a better coach overall. Well, it's not like Carroll was ever the play caller, but now maybe he's going to delegate out a little bit more. I mean, that's the dream. Yes, drop top, there will be that. Pete is still going to be a major factor for this defense. Not sure why. Well, it's just the fact that he clearly wants to do a Vic Fangio type of defense, and then he hires Vic Fangio people like Desai and to a certain extent Clint Hurt. So he's not Vic Fangio. He's Pete Carroll. The Pete Carroll defense is the cover 3. So there must be some element of him that is going, I'm going to hand some of the control over. The fact that it took us so long to fire Mike Solari, I don't think it was as planned as you think. Maybe. That's a valid point, but we already had his planned replacement in-house. So it's not like we were missing out on a bunch of really good offensive line coach prospects because of Solari still being there. Yeah, pay dirt. I mean, there's potential for that, but this is just step one, man. This is just the coaching staff. I like our coaching staff, except for, well, Carroll right now, but it's not like Carroll's never had success before. It's not like Carroll's never done anything good before. But I'm good with Waldron. I like the fact that we're getting an offensive line coach who's going to be more his style. The defensive coaching staff, I'm at least interested to see what they do. So now you got to change the roster, and that's going to be a lot harder, but it's possible. Any idea on the hard sell Carroll did to get Desai here? I think he offered him the associate head coaching job, and I think that made it impossible for Desai to say no. Maybe Desai even feels like he's the heir apparent if he does well here. Like, I don't think associate head coach was on the table until recently. I think they did that to be like, okay, we got to make sure we get our guy here. Let's give him a little more power than we were originally planning. Yeah, Fangio's defense is more 4-3 than 3-4 to me, honestly. At best, it's like a hybrid. Yeah, Barbod, that's the key here. Figuring out how to use Jamal Adams. And I do feel like Fangio defenses are doing a better job of mixing up play with their safeties. Hopefully, Kyle. Hopefully. Maybe he can just be a coach in terms of helping install game plans, but during the game, he'll just focus on working referees and stuff. Yeah, that's another good thing. This coaching staff is now filled with young guys. A lot of these guys weren't even alive when Pete Carroll was honing his craft under Bill Walsh and Bud Grant. I like that. Tristan Foe, I do think Armstead's a good scheme fit. I think he can play in space. Jake Heap, I don't know what to make of what Jake Heap says, honestly. I don't know if I buy it half the time. But that's very possible. I feel like Jake Heaps just exists to be Russell Wilson's hype man. Well, Michael, that the thing is though, getting the amount of talent that we had when we won a Super Bowl is almost impossible. It's can't be done. We had the best cornerback of his era, the best free safety of his era, a top 2 strong safety of his era, maybe the best middle linebacker of his era, at least top 2. We had guys like Bennett and Averill making way less than they could have made on the open market. Even guys like KJ Wright and Byron Maxwell, they were some of the best players at their position. You're not going to replicate that. Well, Donatel had a lot of experience, which I did like. Do you believe that Russell Wilson will lower his cap hit? He doesn't control that. The team does. The team has complete control over that. Do we have 2 years to go all in? Well, if you don't go all in this year, you might not get the other year because if this year doesn't go good, then there's going to be significant pressure to blow this sucker up. I'm going to talk about franchise tags in a future video, Colin, maybe tomorrow. Yeah, Armstead to me is a more agile guy. We've now been streaming for half an hour, so real quick here, I want to give a shout out. Got 154 people in the stream right now. Thank you everybody for coming out tonight. Please like the stream if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and you want daily Seahawks content. Become a channel member for $2 or $5 a month. We need 4 more members to hit our monthly goal. And super chats show up in the tip jar to my left and are appreciated to help keep the channel running. Yeah, Tumbo, I think it's a stylistic thing. Tumbo. I think we're trying to move towards a more mobile, agile offensive line, and Solari's more of a road grader, and we feel like that doesn't fit what we're trying to do now. No, I don't want Gronk. Did you see Gronk at the end of the season? He's running like, He looks like he doesn't want to be out there. We're keeping Adams for at least 2 more years. I just have a hard time getting excited over hiring coaches from bad teams. I mean, I get it, but by all accounts, Desai did good last year. The Bears' offense was just so bad it doesn't matter. Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, bottom line is we're going all in on the Waldron offense, it looks like. So, I mean, if it doesn't work this year, then you're probably going to blow it up. And when I say blow it up, I mean blow it all up. Because at that point, it'll be too late to try something else on the fly. I'm indifferent on Raheem Mostert. To me, those Shanahan guys, you don't know. Barbad, it depends on the personnel that we have. Whatever works well. Last year, for most of the year, we couldn't run the ball because we had no running backs and the offensive line wasn't playing well. But by the end of the season, we started running the ball more because we could actually run block and we had running backs. So it depends on what we can do. Okay? If we ever end up in a point where our only running back who's healthy is Travis Homer, then we're going to pass it a lot. But if the running game is going, then we'll run the ball. Richard Sherman's comments and Ryan Clark's comments are old news. I don't care to talk about them more than I already have. Tristan Foe, a lot of those guys are going to have to be released, so you don't really have to trade for them. Trading for them just means you guarantee that no one else can get them. I mean, obviously, it depends on how we address things this offseason, period. That will determine whether or not we're run first or pass first or however you want to put it. I want to use Jamal as mainly a blitzer and our guy to cover tight ends one-on-one, which Derwin James does. May very well be the case. Daniel Hunter is probably going to be cut Seahawks Productions. He's owed a ton of money, and the Vikings are over the cap. It's one of the only things they can do. Do you think Seattle will stop BSing in free agency? They have to. If they don't, then I don't know what to say other than these guys are not really here to try to win a championship. Yeah, AFK, Jamal can play multiple positions, of course. That's one of the points of Jamal. A lot of this defense lies on if we can use Jamal correctly. He def has the athleticism for Fangio defense as a safety. Yeah, I think a big reason why you bring in Desai is to try to improve the way we utilize Jamal, because Desai was a safeties coach. Would you try to sign Devon? No. Are you? What would Devontae Adams? What? Okay, I'm just going to move on from that one. Why would he be cut? Because the Vikings need to save money, and Hunter is also often hurt. They got to do something. What else can they do? They can maybe restructure a couple guys, but they're over the cap. I still don't want to pay Russell $45 million a year if that is his demand in 2 years. It's going to be his demand next year, in all likelihood. And we'll see how this year goes. If Wilson balls out, then maybe you'll feel differently about $45 million a year. Yeah, we've already paid Lockett. We're going to pay Metcalf, and we've drafted Eskridge. Like, why are we signing Devonte Adams? Come on, guys. What are you guys talking about? And by the way, Devonte Adams kind of sort of played for one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. He may go somewhere else and prove he's not as good as you think with a different quarterback, because a lot of that stuff is based off the very close relationship that Rodgers and Adams had. So if he goes to somewhere like, I don't know, Las Vegas and plays with Derek Carr, you may notice a big drop off. Yeah, exactly. Hunter's also been very injury prone. They can't pay that kind of money when they're over the cap to a dude who can't get on the field. Thank you, that nuke guy. Appreciate the support. So I don't think you have to trade for Daniel Hunter. I think you just wait for the Vikings to cut him. Whew. So I don't know. Overall, I'm pretty happy about these moves. At least it seems like there's a plan. Before, I've criticized this team because it seems like we don't have a plan, but I think we have. There may be a plan here. I don't know if the plan's going to work. There are some things about the plan that are shaky, but it feels like there's a plan now. Who knows, Daniel? Thank you, Corbett. We don't need wide receivers. We need linemen. Yeah, yeah. We really don't need wide receivers. Like Freddie Swain is fine as a number 4. Penny Hart's fine as a number 5, and we have guys like Kay Johnson and Aaron Fuller camping on the PS until we need them. And I still like Aaron Fuller, kinda. I heard about a little bit of that Medina, but I did not listen to the whole thing. The only way we can keep guys like Diggs, I think, is if we abuse void year contracts, which maybe we should do, but I don't know if this team's willing to do it. I've been doing some draft checking Tristan Foe, but not a lot. I'm not ready to dive into that too hard yet. I like Falele, but I don't know if right tackle's the right way to go now. And there were some like will linebackers I kind of liked. There were a couple like Kobe Bryant from UW, the cornerback I kind of liked. There are some guys, but I got to do a lot more work. A little smooch. If we have a good offseason, we can compete for a title, but I can't say any more than that. It's hard to win a Super Bowl at the end of the day. What I'm looking for is a team that is at least in the conversation. Yeah, I suppose that's all true. I think that's reasonable. Daniel, the thing with Donatel was he would have had a lot of testicles to bring to the table that Desai does not have, which we'll see if that ends up mattering. Well, John, I I'm not in love with the way everything that Russell Wilson does, but if he didn't want to be a Super Bowl quarterback, I don't think he would be rushing back from rehab a month earlier than he should have been on an injury. So I don't know about that. Falele isn't a scheme fit. I actually kind of think he is. I think that dude can move for a 400 pounder. He's like Becton. Would Cam Jordan be? Dude, did you just have a stroke? Sean Hines, are you okay, my guy? I know who Cam Jordan is, but I don't know who Zabid Iller Jones is. One of the things Dig said is the cover three is outdated and it's hard to do it with personnel that well. I mean that's we've kind of felt that way for a while. Yeah, Daniel. And the other thing to remember is the Bears also did not have a healthy Goldman, and I think they missed one of their linebackers for a lot of the season as well. Are you concerned about our running back room? I mean, I'm not concerned about it because we're going to sign more guys. Oh yeah, Kyler Gordon too. Yeah, I don't want Chandler Jones. Chandler Jones plays in a 3-4. We run a 4-3. No, 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 no. QWERTY keyboard auto spelled it. Were you trying to say Xavier Jones? I don't want Xavier Jones. Cam Jordan, maybe. Cam Jordan's not bad, but he's old too, so I don't know. I think we should mostly address O line in free agency. I want veterans. I don't want rookies. I don't want young guys who you don't know if they're going to be good or not and they're going to take some time to settle in. I want veterans who are already good. That's why I want Armstead. That's why I want Kelsey or Jensen. I'd rather take a rookie five tech, a rookie defensive end. Those guys have a pretty decent success rate of being good as rookies. I think look at how good Micah Parsons was last year as a rookie. Now, I know that guy was a top 12 pick, but still, the point is, as a rookie, you can excel in that role easier. We might take Kyler Gordon in the second round. Has Carroll ever taken a cornerback second round? Hold on. I know he's never taken one in the first. Has Carroll ever taken a cornerback in the second? We can't get Fletcher Cox. The Eagles married themselves to him. Which OL position you think needs to be a priority? Left tackle. I think someone like a Montez Sweat. How are you going to get Montez Sweat, though? What are you going to give up to get him? Jerron Reed kind of sucked this year, so no. Yeah, Shaq in the third round was the highest. So, rightfully so, Carroll doesn't use high draft capital on cornerback. I don't want Sioux. He's old. And he's a jackass. I remember last year I was thinking if Eric Stokes fell to us, I would really want to jump on him at 56, but he didn't even come close. But Eric Stokes was the one guy I really would have been willing to use that 56 overall on. You don't like Dwayne Brown? Well, he's really old. He's a free agent. He's clearly declining, and no, just pass. And because Dwayne Brown would need a 1-year deal, it would be a big cap hit for 2022, even if the deal itself is manageable. Trey Brown was a 4th-round pick, Isaac. Yeah, some of the Bucks guys like Ryan Jensen are available. I would love Ryan Jensen. There's Mitchell Morse. There's Ben Jones. There's some guys. No, I don't want Jackson from the Patriots at cornerback. No, 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 no. Get that evil away from me. I don't know Quay Walker Seahawks Productions. I'm going to have to look into who that is a little bit more before I make any assessments there. I mean, I know who Quay Walker is, but I don't know what I think of him as like a pro prospect. I need to look at some stuff. If we're gonna sign J.C. Jackson, just re-sign Reed for cheaper, and you're probably getting roughly equivalent play. Who is Quay Walker? What? Bring Justin Coleman back? Maybe. That's actually not a terrible idea. I hold on, let me look up. Is he yeah, Coleman's a free agent, right? Oh, okay. Well, Quay Walker is the linebacker on Georgia, I think. Do you prefer veteran CBs or rookies? I don't have a preference. But generally rookies because they're cheaper. Hopefully James. If he wants to do that, then I'll at least see what he has to offer. If we get a linebacker in this draft, I want it to be a will, somebody who can cover, somebody who can play in space. That to me is the need because we don't really have a good option there. We might bring back KJ Wright, and that's not something I really want to do because he's so old, but we might kind of have to. But it would not shock me if we ended up going that way because there just isn't a whole lot. Corey Coleman, thank you for the 4.99. What if they move Damien Lewis to center, move Jackson back to left guard, and re-sign Phil Haynes at right guard? Zion Johnson as backup for all three spots. That might work, but Damien Lewis is already kind of getting jerked around, so I don't know how he can do it center. We saw him do it for one game and he did fine, but can he do it long term? It's hard to know. And Jackson at left guard would probably just be average at this point in his career. And then you have Phil Haynes, who would probably be pretty good at right guard, but wouldn't be dominant. So to me, at that point, you're kind of settling for decent on the offensive line in a lot of spots. If we keep Wilson, do we trade Metcalf? Seems like Wilson has a disconnect with him. I, I don't. I don't know really where that comes from. There was a little bit of that last year, but Metcalf did kind of break the franchise record for receiving yards the year before. Like, yeah, there are some hiccups there, but I don't think you trade Metcalf because of that. Actually, if Haynes is the run game mauler, then playing him at right guard does make some sense. But he it's not like he's a future All Pro. He might be good. I don't hate the idea, but there's not a lot of upside there except for maybe Phil. Well, I'm not even going to say Phil Haynes. I would say Damian Lewis. There's no upside with Jackson. You're just hoping that he'll be a little above average. Yeah, that's another thing, guys. Carroll loves Metcalf. He's not going to trade Metcalf, I don't think, at all. I don't see that at all. Yeah, Dre Holt, that's what I'm saying. When Bobby got hurt at the end of the year, there wasn't a big difference. It's not like our defense fell off a cliff. It was maybe a little bit worse, but are you telling me what we saw was worth $20 million? Some people try to say Wagner's worth it because of the leadership, but our defense hasn't been top 10 in 4 years, so I don't see it that way. What does the change in O line coach mean for Curhan? It might mean not good things for him, but we have limited resources. We have resources, but they're not infinite. And Curhan is somebody who you could give a shot at right tackle next year, so we may still roll with him. Curhan is not immobile. He's not a super athletic lineman, but he's not somebody who just can't move, play in space. Wouldn't Demario Davis cost as much as Bobby would, more or less? I mean, I'm not super high on Barton at this point, but you could give him a chance. But you could also spend a fourth or fifth round pick on a will linebacker, let Brooks play in the middle, and then see if it figures out. Yeah, TJ, he could be. Yeah, yeah. I agree. The bottom line is we can't get rid of all of our offensive linemen. We don't have the resources to do that, and the players are not available for that. You got to keep something. And Jake Curhan's cheap. He's young. He played well. He's got upside. So that's not a bad guy to stick with. I would much rather stick with him than Dwayne Brown, who has nothing but downside. He's 37. Hmm. Not all. I don't know about that, Green Earth. I don't know if I agree with that. KJ and Bobby both played well as rookies. The thing is, Barton's strength as a player is supposed to be his ability to cover. So if he can't cover, then I don't know what you've really got there other than a waste of a roster spot. But he did not cover that well against the Cardinals, and that was kind of his audition to me. Forsyth should not be playing right tackle, Sean Hines. He was fine, but that's a recipe for disaster. You want Forsyth at left tackle, if anywhere. Should we trade up for Tyler Lindenbaum? I don't know if we'll be able to. Curhan and Brown can work. I don't think Brown can move the way he needs to anymore. He's too old. I like the idea of Tanner Muse. I like Tanner Muse too, but it's a long shot at this point. I don't. McDuffie's not going to be there in the second round. I don't think. I seriously doubt it. Yeah, we got to turn the page on some of these guys, man. Yeah, okay, I see. I see what you're getting at, Green Earth, but that's a position we're just going to have to make do on. I think we have things we have to take care of this offseason. I don't know if there's a lot of money to get great linebackers. TJ, it's way too early for me to say that. What position would you draft first? It depends on what you do in free agency. Well, yeah, Armstead gets hurt, but you are going to have to take a risk. I would much rather take a risk on a guy who's 30 than a guy who's 37. The WSU right tackle, he's interesting too. How much will the Metcalf extension be? Probably like 4 years, 88 million, something like that. Yeah, you could go with Barton. You could, but he hasn't left a good impression on the team yet, I don't think. So they might be concerned to do that. Yeah, and we can create more cap space than we have easily. Like you cut Wagner, that's 16 million. You cut Myers, that's 4 million. These are, you know, all you need are two brain cells to rub together. Who would you replace Myers with? I don't really care that much. Maybe Zane Gonzalez. Maybe a rookie. Like it doesn't matter to me. Kicking is random. Just go get somebody who's going to cost $1 million. Thoughts on Pete hiring younger coaches? I like it. I want to see how it goes. It's different than what we've seen before. So what is Desai responsible for? My best guess is he's going to be responsible for putting together the game plan during the week. What are the odds of a 5 or 6 year extension for Metcalf? I don't think the players want long extensions. They want to hit the market again before they get too old. I think he wants a 4 year deal. I think most of these guys want 4 year deals. Would you bring in Atkins at veteran minimum? I guess, but it seems to me like he doesn't have anything left, or else somebody would have picked him up. Yeah, we don't. Yeah, I'm assuming the guy who said Marshawn Lynch is memeing. But just go get Marlon Mack or even Leonard Fournette. I'm not a Fournette fan, but if he's willing to play for less than I think he's going to play, you could get him. You could get Philip Lindsay. You could. There are guys. It's fine. We're going to stream for about another 5 minutes here before I cut on out of here. So once again, I'll go over real quick. We've got 162 people in the stream right now. Thank you everybody for showing up tonight. Please like the stream if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and you want daily Seahawks content. Become a channel member for $2 or $5 a month. And if you like the content and want to show your appreciation, you can tip via Super Chat. It'll show up in the tip jar to my left. And they help keep the channel going. Appreciate them as always. Robert Henry, thank you for the $4.99. Here's to good defensive coach changes. Hopefully Pete is not that senile as I thought. Well, maybe he is senile and he's doing this so he can let somebody else run the defense because he can't no more. James Conner. Yeah, James Conner's also potentially available. There are guys. Just, I'm not too worried about running back. You can get a running back. Would you like to see Quandre back because of, especially because of our new DC? Not this. No, that doesn't really change the equation that much for me. Pretentious Cameron, thank you for the $2. Just showing support. Appreciate the support. No problem, Megan. See you later. What does all-in on defense look like? I mean, I don't think there's just any all-in on defense. It's all-in general. Mateus, but nobody is consistent. There is no such thing as a consistent kicker except for, like, 3 guys. And if you can't get one of those 3 guys, then just get a random guy and hope it works out. How much do we save with the Carson cut? Like $3 million? Yeah, I think Carson should retire. Danny Viluklon, thank you for the $5. Dropping the mic. Very nice. I love it. Appreciate you, Danny. Haven't seen you in here before, I don't think, but welcome. Why do people want Diggs back so much? Well, he's really good. I get it, but I can't spend that money. How do you feel about Quan Alexander? Isn't he always hurt, or am I thinking of somebody else? It would be dope if Pete could be our senior assistant head coach by next season. He would never do that. You should make a video about all the personnel moves, roster, and coaching we made, and then say which ones were good and mistakes from this season. You mean 2021, right? That's kind of what Front Office Tuesday was about, but yeah, I could do something like that. Myers could just be having a down year last year. Okay, he could be having a down year, or he could be reverting back to what he was. Remember, 2019, he wasn't that good either. 2020 might be the fluke year. Okay? You can't pay a kicker who isn't even good $5 million. If you're going to have a kicker who isn't good, at least have it be somebody who's only making $1 million. That's my thing. Like, people are acting like, what are you protecting with Myers? A guy who's had one super good year, and then he's had 2 years here that were average to bad, and we have a lot of evidence that kicking in the NFL is random. Just lean into the variance. We don't have a number 2 QB right now. I think that we should go get a backup. Colt McCoy might be the most appealing guy just so we can make sure nobody else can get him. I kind of like Brent Hundley. If you want to spend some real money there, you could get Marcus Mariota. And there are probably some other guys who would be okay too. All right, we're going to go for about another minute here, and then I'm going to set up and play some SMT5 on stream if you want to hang out there. Cool. What's your thoughts on Danta Hightower? Not that interested. Yeah, get Colt McCoy, get Brent Hundley, or break the bank for Mariota. That would be what I do at backup. Or maybe you get a rookie. Like, try to do a Gardner Minshew type thing. Yeah, I kind of agree with that, Tumbo. That's why I like Brent Hundley. I think Brent Hundley can do some of that stuff. Isn't Boykin in jail? Didn't Boykin get in legal trouble, or is he cleared of that? I wonder if he's still out there. Yeah, but Mariota would probably be like $5 million, so that's a lot of money. Brian Allen would be a good fit at center. Which one's Brian Allen? You don't want to see if Jake whatever developed with us? Not really. All right, guys. Oh, Jacob Eason. I don't believe in Jacob Eason. Oh, the Rams center. I thought, okay, okay. I'm more into Austin Corbett, but yeah. All right, guys, we went for about an hour. I think that's about all there is to say about the Sean Desai, Mike Solari, Andy Dickerson moves. We'll see if it works, but it seems like we have a plan, and I like that. I'll go ahead and leave it at that for now, but thank you, everybody, for coming in tonight. If you haven't already, please like the stream. You've got like 10 more seconds to do so. I will see you guys in stream later tonight. Gonna wind down a little bit and then hop on SMT. But thank you everybody for coming out. Go Hawks, and we'll see where the offseason takes us from here.